Welcome back to Media Week. Let's take a look now at the latest radio ratings for Survey 5. This is thanks to GFK there. You can see there, James, Sydney, 2GB coming out on top.
Yeah, look, traditional leader, always 2GB's up there at the top there. Two ARN stations, WSFM and KISS. KISS's Breakfast, Kyle and Jackie O back at #1, but WS still #1 overall. Nova and Smooth, good and bad news for Nova Entertainment. Great news, Smooth's doing so well, but they like Nova to fire up a little bit. Both Southern Cross or stereo stations missing off that top 5, so they need a fair bit of work to do in this market.
That's in Sydney. OK, let's check out Melbourne now.
Yep, and the big difference, of course, Southern Cross or stereo stations, the #2 FM stations down there, so it's a real tale of two cities there with them. 3RW's come good again, and not that they ever were far off the pace. They're up a little bit, then Gold and Nova. Yeah, Nova at the bottom again. They'd probably like that a little bit higher.
All right, Brisbane now. We'll take a look at those ones. You can see Nova a bit higher on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's closed the gap with 97.3 and ARN managed station up there, but it still does very well. B105 and Triple M, 4KQ. If you're not on that list in Brisbane, you're not doing well because there's not a lot of stations up there.
Adelaide now, let's take a look at those ones.
Same with that, Mark. If you're not on the list there, and the only commercial station not there is SAFM, was up a little bit this market, but not a lot otherwise. Pretty much, business as usual.
Yeah, OK, and Perth.
Yeah, look, Mix, Nova, 96, yeah. The big mover there was 6PR, the Fairfax radio station over there. It's doing very well. Baz in Breakfast has joined the station this year, doing a great business there, and we think that might even creep a little bit higher.
What have you been hearing, James, about, I guess, what the radio networks have been saying about these results?
It's an interesting survey. It was sort of, good news for everybody if they were able to find pockets. We mentioned some of the challenges, Southern Cross or stereo in Melbourne. Nova, Smooth was the big result for them. I guess they had a couple of record cumes, so that's the total number of different listeners they have each week. I think they were broke a record there in Brisbane and over in Perth, so it was good news for them. ARN, again, look at a fantastic survey for them, just doing very well, can't put a foot wrong. Southern Cross or stereo, as we pointed out in those highlights, Melbourne's a great market for them, but they need to replicate that around, get some of those management skills they've got in Melbourne and get them working across the network. Fairfax, but a good survey for Fairfax. They've had a rough trot this year, so Perth was good for them, Melbourne was good for them. Brisbane, not so good, probably a little bit of work to do still in Brisbane. And Sydney, a very slight turnaround there at 2UE, but, some good signs.
And nominees for the Commercial Radio Awards have also been announced.
Yeah, looks the usual suspects, if you like, and who crop up, like Kyle and Jackie O are there again. Ray Hadley, Neil Mitchell in the AM race, as the best talk announcers. Fitzy and Whipper for Nova are nominated there. So yeah, we'll probably look at those a bit between now and the awards. That's in October. In October,
okay. And it's also interesting when you're talking about Kyle and Jackie O, they've announced Miley Cyrus is coming to Sydney. Yeah,
look, at iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio is the sort of streaming radio adventure, if you like. It's a JV that, I think maybe it's just ARN control it totally here now. They had a big festival annually in Las Vegas, which is on in a couple of weeks actually. They're going to try and replicate that here, and they've got off to a pretty good start by getting Miley Cyrus on the bill for the first one.
See who else they can add to that list as the time goes on. All right, let's go to more news now, James. We've got talk of Adam Boland, of course, ex-Sunrise, then 10 Network. He's now writing a book about all his TV exploits.
Yeah, look, he's got a book coming. Right? Yeah, look, he's going back on TV, albeit on a digital television show online. There's a website called Carousel, or thecarousel.com, and he's going to show up there. I'm not sure if it's daily, but at least a couple of times a week, co-hosting a segment with Susan Mostyn, who people might know. I think she's worked with Adam on the shows he used to do on 7. So.
Do we know when that's set to start?
No, I haven't got a start date. It could even be up now. I'm not sure, but yeah. So you got to. I think it's thecarousel.com, and you'll be able to find it, or just Google it online.
Yep, sure. Okay, and Kim Williams as well promoting a book. Everyone's promoting books at the moment.
Yeah, look, Rules of Engagement is Kim's book, and we talked a little bit about last week about the leaked documents at News and how they painted him perhaps in not a very good light. Well, Fairfax Media have really embraced Kim Williams. Now he's sort of on the outer at News, if you like. So he was all over their newspapers last weekend, extracts from the book, interviews, video interviews. So that they went to town on it. So yeah, so I think the book's actually officially launched next week.
Yeah, okay. And just back to radio, we were talking about it before. Southern Cross Stereo is closing its music streaming service. What's it turning it into?
Yeah, Songwell. It didn't have a great name, Songl, Songwell. I mean, that's not why it failed, but that's probably one of the reasons, you know. Yeah, and it's a very crowded space, you know, music streaming business. But they haven't abandoned it completely. Songwell Solutions, so they're going to stick with the Songwell name. But there's sort of a B2B business, if you like. And if you know on your Foxtel, there's a whole lot of music channels, or they provide that stuff. So they're going into corporate. They'll expand that, and they'll just look up for other revenue opportunities.
Is that a big market? Are they set to be sort of successful there?
Well, they'll certainly be scaling back from what their ambitions used to be, I think. But yeah, I mean, they've got a few partners in there. It's not all Southern Cross Stereo. So.
All right, 9 as well. Now, Richie Benaud back on air. What's he doing?
He should be back on air, but we don't know if he's actually going to be at the cricket. They said they might be able to take him from his home. You know, he'll be watching it on the screen, which happens a lot, especially during things like, you know, Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games. All the announcers never go there, and sometimes in football games domestically, people mightn't travel to far-flung places, so they might get a bit of Richie. We don't know if he'll actually be commentating actual calling action or just giving some special comments at times during the day.
And just quickly, we've had some media moves this week, but Joe Aston's been, from the AFR's been in the news a little bit. Did the Australian really want him to move from the AFR?
I don't know. There's been a lot of argy-bargy. The Australian and the Australian Financial Review certainly don't like each other much these days. And at the front line of the journalists sort of throwing brickbats at each other.
It was.
And there was talk Joe would go and work for the Australian, but he wanted over $400,000, and the Australian said, look, he's dreaming. There was never any real job offer.
All right, that will continue, no doubt, those wars. Let's talk now television ratings for week 34, starting with free-to-air. Channel 9 really sweeping that, except for 7 News Sunday in there.
Yeah, look, that Sunday night news is always a big one. 2 out of the 5 there for them. But yeah, the block holding up, and we're going to see that. It's got, I don't know, 5-6 weeks still to go. That's going to dominate until then.
Yeah, turning the page there as well. X Factor in there.
Yep, sure. A bit more block and 60 Minutes on Sunday night. Certainly has the edge over 7 Sunday night program at the moment.
Yeah, okay. And now some subscription TV ratings for week 34. This is Most Watched Sport.
Yep, the Bledder's low up there again. I think it was number 1 on last week's chart, the Bledder's low, wasn't it, from memory? So it slipped down. That was the game in New Zealand on a little bit earlier in the day, and the audiences weren't quite as big. Australia getting a hiding didn't help either.
Yeah, definitely. Probably people switched off halfway through. And top 5 non-sport now. The Recruit, which we said last week, it was number 1 as well.
Look, Fox 8 audience still love their animation. 3 shows there: Simpsons, Family Guy, and Futurama.
All right, let's go to more chat now on just the television space, I guess. We've got the Emmy Awards, of course.
Yeah, look,
big winners.
It was amazing. I think the Emmys almost get more coverage here now than the Logies.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they've become a really significant event, at least in chat. And I think social media certainly helped that. Look, Breaking Bad cleaned up again. You know, look, enough already though. Come on, I don't want to see Breaking Bad win anymore. But look, it's all over, so they can't be.
And Modern Family as well.
Yeah, look, some of the free-to-air stuff. Modern Family, Good Wife, also on 10. Fargo, which has been on SBS, picked up something. Big Bang Theory did won an award too. It's sort of shown all over 9, of course.
All right, and 7 Sunrise team. Now, what are they doing? They're going on a pretty ambitious road trip.
They're going on a road trip, yeah. Next week from Monday through to Friday. They start in LA, they go to Las Vegas, they go down to Texas, they go to Miami, end the week in New York, coming out of the NBC studios at Rockefeller Center. So, yeah, different place every day. Justin Timberlake's going to be with them on part of the trip, which is a pretty good get. He's about to come down under, so he'll be helping push his concert here. But it'll be a big week. But they've been rating very well this year, Sunrise.
And just quickly, 9 News, they've claimed the ratings over 7.
Yeah, look, they have. Darren Wick is the news boss there.
Yep.
And look, they've won enough weeks where whatever happens from now on, they can't be defeated by 7. So that's the first ratings win for this year. We'll see a few now, but between now and the end of November, people will be claiming different things, but that's the first.
All right, we'll take a quick break here on Mediaweek. Coming up, international affairs. We catch up with the editor of the Australian newspaper on the sidelines of the China-Australia Forum. That's next.